20th City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Like Coco and now Bill and stuff, that I'm thinking we're going to have to refer to mornings like that as barioke, right? Yeah, and he's going to be coming back in a handful of weeks with the wonderful Alexandra, who's also an incredibly charming person. They're going to be doing something called "I've Got You, Babe: The Joy of Duets." So that'll be really excellent. So I'm really looking forward to Barry doing that as well. So yeah, welcome to the latecomers, and you're just welcome. Now, today we've sprung the price of bringing somebody down from Bangkok, Sukan Sethi. Sukan Sethi is an author. He's written a number of books. I've read one of them, not this one. This is Conversations with Dracula. I've read his book which is really, really well written, extremely well written, very popular book about destiny with devils. Yes, thank you. I was going to say Destiny with Devils, which is more a description of my life, but Destiny of Devils, and it was really well written and had a nice bit of a cliffhanger ending. I was waiting for the sequel, actually. Alrighty, so we're about to, and we got to know Sukan when Rose gave a talk at a very special day when it was International Women's Day, talk about her life and her art, which she gave both in Thai and in English, and Sukan got up and said some very moving and touching words to Rose, which was really, really, really memorable. So I'm thinking that some of this talk is going to be extremely memorable. Now, remember what I said, do not surf the web. If you feel the need to use your phone, go outside, okay, use it and then come back in. All right, and with that, Sukan, friend, colleague, fellow writer, come on up. Round of applause for Sukan all the way down from Bangkok.
Thank you. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Whether the world ends or not, we all do. A few days from now, September 9th, marks the 3rd year of the passing of my beloved mother. Let me take you back in time to the year 2012, when the rumored world ending, it was so popular, the world is going to end in 2012. It was in August, on my birthday, after the celebrations, I sat with my mom and I thanked her that, thank you for giving me birth, taking care of me. And I said, Mom, I have something to say to you. He said, what is it, child? Tell me. I said, I want to change the course of my life. We come from a family of traders, businessmen, entrepreneurs. This role is not suited for me. I am not happy. Which I will come back to later in my speech. And when he died in October 2011, it hit me. And I said, Mom, I want to write books. I want to be an author. This is my calling. She smiled and told me, son, you are my first child and your birth made me a mother. I raised you to the best of my ability and you cried a lot. We tried to give you every sort of type of toy possible, but it wouldn't keep your attention for long. You would cry. So one day, out of desperation, while you were crying endlessly, your father picked up a book on the desk and he put it in front of you like that, like maybe a cross in front of a Dracula or something, and I stopped crying. I started to smile. And he said, you touched the book with your little finger and you smiled. So then they knew that this person likes books, and from that point on it was books all the way. My dad used to buy books. And she said, son, whatever pocket money we used to give you, you spend everything on books. When we had to go for a vacation, you would pack half your suitcase with books first, and the rest with necessary items. So she said, okay, do what your heart says, I give you permission. But let me tell you this, I am worried too. To me, it's like you are going to jump out of a moving train. Either you will die, or you will rise. You lick your wounds, but I have faith in you. Just promise me that every book you write should be as unique as you are. So I hugged her and thanked her, and since she left, I miss her every single day. Thank you, Dr. Ren, for inviting me to give a speech here and letting me speak on the topic of my choosing, books and bikes, motorbikes. Yeah? These are the two mistresses of my life. There is nothing free in life. Whether you watch a movie or you involved in any activity which is called free, it is not free. You are paying for it with your time. And time is the most precious asset you have. When you give someone your time, as you all are giving me your time today, you are giving me a part of your life that is never coming back. And I am so grateful to all of you. Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a nice breakfast and are all comfortable. And thank you so much for your time and your attention. My name is Sukan Sethi, and I am an author. Today, I will talk on the topic books and bikes, visualizing the road ahead. Let me come back to a point of Steve Jobs' speech. When he went to study calligraphy, he didn't know why he studied it, but he loved it. But when he made the Apple, it all came back to him one day that, he could make the fonts and so on. So it happened to me in the same way. I was part of a community newsletter about 30 years ago when I had my first experience of typing something on the computer. And that came back when I started to write the books. In 1986, when the Apple II was there, it was my first time I touched a computer, and the first thing I did was to write a story. Sadly, I didn't know that the file had to be saved, okay? Nor did I know that there was something called a floppy disk you had to save, so when it was off, that story was off. But it was always in my mind. The first story I dreamt out was about a kamikaze pilot's last night. On the next fateful morning, he had to go for that suicide mission. And he spent that last night with his girlfriend, and how she plotted and escaped from him. That I will say for another day, another writing. Okay, now I start on the topic of books. What separates humans from animals is our ability to communicate in words. We were given the gift of sound to convert to word by God, and after we converted words, we could communicate, we could pass on information, we could create a culture, religion, technology. But there had to be a place that you stored those words. It started out on the rocks, on papyrus, and finally came to paper. And when the printing press came, we could print a lot of books. So a book is nothing more than a container of words written by the author or whoever. Books are something that has always been with mankind and will always be. As long as we are a civilization, we will rely on books. Now, we have come to a point where we have reached e-books, electronic books, and we choose between the two. When the e-book came out, I was baffled, and I loaded every possible book, and I read, and I said, printed book is finished. But I was wrong. After some time, I missed that joy of touching a book. And later my eyes could not see, and the glare, so I said, no, as long as man is there, the printed book is the essence for all, because we can touch, we can flip, we can take it, we can sense it. There's a sense of touching, of being. So some people write to teach, and some write to entertain. For me, I do both. When I write a book, I say my book has to entertain and teach something to the reader also. Because writing is a form of art. It's just that we writers, instead of painting colors or something, we paint with words. We paint with words. So allow me to, when I sit in front of a screen, I look at the empty space and I ask myself, what am I going to write? I tried that many times and I never succeeded, because I realized that the job of writing was in my head. It was taking place all the time. So when I finally had something to write, I would sit down and I would type it. You believe me or not, I am working on 8 books simultaneously in my head at all times. And when one book catches my wonder for more than a month, then I sit down and work on it. Allow me to come to my first book, which is called Wise Dad, Ignorant Dad. And I'll give you a synopsis of this book. This book has changed the lives of so many people. The reviews I get, I cannot believe that it has touched so many people. The story is about 2 very good friends, James and Mark. They finished college together and they set out to form a company. They had an idea of how to prolong the battery life on the smartphones by up to 50%. Now, when they were out of college, they needed $5,000, and they went around asking from family and friends, and they got just $1,000, and that's $4,000 short. So out of desperation, they said, okay, let's go and look for a job. We'll put this on hold for a year. On their way to the employment agency, they stopped at a cafe and had coffee. Now, an old man was walking by, and James bumped into him and spilled coffee on his shoes. So he apologized, let the man sit, and bought him some coffee. Then the man asked, what are you doing here? They told him their story, and he said, how much money do you need? They said, we need $4,000. He said, I will give you $4,000 here and now, but you have to promise me 2 things. They were surprised. They said, okay, what are your terms and conditions? First, you will use all your money on your business. And the second term is, whatever you earn from today, 10% of it you will give in charity. So these guys had nothing to lose. They said, okay. The man pulled out $4,000 from his bag, wrapped it in the newspaper, and gave it to them. Now they formed a company and they were very successful, but only one of the 2 kept the second agreement. The first one, Mark, he didn't honor his commitment. So the story develops from there, what happened in their lives. So now let me come to the second book, which Dr. Ren was just speaking about. It's Destiny of Devils. This book took me 21 days from a concept in my head to publishing the book. I was possessed for those 21 days. I had to write, and it came out so beautifully that I dare say that this is one of the, as a reader of course, this is one of the 3 best books I have read in my life, and I have read so often. Destiny of Devils starts off with a guy called Alexander Bentler. We call him Alex. So he had taken a day off from work to go and line up in one of those phone stores to be among the first to get a new phone, right? So after he got the phone, he said, where shall I go now? I mean, I have a holiday. So he checked and he found out that the German embassy in New York held Oktoberfest. Lots of beers were being sold, and the beers were being priced according to the stock market. So he went there, he had a few beers, like, you know, all of us, after 3 beers, 4 beers, 5 beers, and he wanted to sit down somewhere. So there were many activities in the carnival, and he saw a table at the end of the corner with a gypsy sitting, fortune telling, tarot cards, $5. All Alex wanted was a place to sit down. So he went there. He paid his $5, sat down, and took a reading. Now the 5 cards that came out, and the gypsy made the prediction, and he shook his head. He said, no way in this world this is going to happen. You say I'm going to travel soon to a faraway land. I have never been out of the United States of America. He said, this is rubbish. But then the book shows how all those cards unfolded one by one, how he had to suddenly go to Romania. So I will leave you at that, because then you will not enjoy the rest of the story. And my latest book, which Dr. Ren kindly showed now, was called Conversations with Dracula. This book took me 10 years. To write the first 4 chapters, which I did 10 years ago, it took about 6 months, but to revise it, it took me another almost 10 years. This book, besides its story, is, okay, I will tell you how it starts. This guy named Johnny, he likes going to visit every castle. So he went to Romania, and he went to this particular castle which everybody warned him, please do not go here. He said, no Dracula exists. So the moment he stepped into the castle, he could feel the fangs of Dracula come right up to his neck, you know. And, you know, a dying man is about to die. So he shouted, wait, if you have to kill me, give me one last wish before I die. So Dracula was stumped. He said, what do you mean one last wish before I die? Nobody has ever dared to ask me that question. Okay, since you are so brave, I grant you your last wish. Ask for anything but your life. He said, sir, I have only one question to ask you. And that question is, what blood group do you like sucking the most? Yeah, what blood group do you like sucking the most? And Dracula went like WTF, you know, and I've been sucking blood for centuries. There's a blood group? He said, okay, let's make a deal. I will let you live till dawn. You will come to my private chamber. I will let you ask all questions that you want, but you must tell me about blood groups. And blood must be shed at dawn. So Johnny said, okay, what choice do I have, right? So then the conversation ensues over the night, and whether he survives or not. Okay, among the questions he asked was, is your name really Dracula? So Dracula says, no. This is a name you humans gave me. Dracula is a name you humans gave me after the Vlad the Impaler. Dracula actually means dragon, but you somehow change it into the devil. Then he said, okay, what about the word count? We know you as Count Dracula. He said there was an Irish guy called Bram Stoker who wrote the book, and he gave us the title of Count. And We feel honored. It sounds good, it's like calling somebody sir or something. So Dracula was delighted. Now, another question he asked is, are you afraid of garlic? Are you afraid of the Holy Cross? Can you be killed with a stake through your heart? So these are the questions Dracula answers over the night while giving a lot of wisdom, because he is immortal. So that's the story of conversations with Dracula. Okay. So my books, some people buy it, they read it, and they put it as a display in their house. So this shows me also that the printed book can serve a purpose, not only to be read, but to be displayed somewhere. Yeah, that's the fangs that were approaching his neck, Sharper than a piranha, sharper than a shark, but no plague. Okay. Now, this is what my mom would have wanted to see. Happy readers. After they read the book, the comments, the feedback they gave, and they said, this book has the most demand right now for a sequel. I have been put a lot of pressure for this, and Dr. Ren, I will try to get it by Halloween of next year. A sequel that will blow your mind away. It so happened on April of 27th of this year, I was at one of the community functions, and then a reader came up to me, and he said something that I just couldn't say. I became speechless. He said, Sukan, I have read all your books so far, and let me tell you one thing, I am a big fan of Jeffrey Archer. I have every single book of Jeffrey Archer in my home. I put it on the top shelf. Your books. He shook his head like that. I said, my God, this is hell coming. He said, your books are too good. It's better than Jeffrey Archer. Can you please write more books? I said, can you say that again, what you said? He said, sure. He said, listen, I will give you the reason also. When Jeffrey Archer's books come, I start reading, I can go 5 pages, 10 pages, maybe up to 15 pages at a time, and then I stop. Your book, once I start, I cannot stop. It's just, so I said, sir, do me one favor. I am not going to compare myself to Jeffrey Archer or anyone, because every author I respect, everybody is unique. But may I record what you said just now? Could you say it again? May I record just for my motivation? Okay, keep me motivated. And one day, if I do qualify for what you say or come near, I will share this clip. So he was a businessman, a man of few words, so he was thinking. He said, okay, only for you. And I recorded that clip, and I kept it. A few years ago, the Italian embassy in Bangkok, they organized a project for writing a micro story. A micro story means not more than 300 words. So I was invited to write one of these stories. 25 was to come from Thailand, 25 were to come from Italy. Whatever was written in English was translated to Italian. What was written in Italian was translated to English. So after a lot of thought, I came up with a story called The Balloon Boy. And it was 299 words, yeah, just shy of it. So I'll relate the story of the balloon boy to you. It goes something like this, okay? Stuck in the sweltering heat of the New Delhi traffic on my way to the airport, a small boy holding a bunch of balloons caught my attention. He was going from car to car trying to send his balloons, and nobody was buying. They were shooing away. So I called him. I said, come here. I said, how much is a balloon? He said, 10 rupees, sir. Okay. How many balloons do you have? He said, 10 balloons. He said, sir, please help me. I have a younger sister. I have to buy food for her to feed her. She's a baby. So I said, okay, I'll buy all 10 balloons. But you must promise me, I'm not going to take the balloons. I'm going to the airport. You give it to every child on the way you see. So he said, okay, sir, thank you, and gave him the money and some extra. And the boy just walked away, and I told the driver, he has parked the car here, let's follow him. Not that I don't believe him, I want to see what happens next. So I followed the boy, and this guy goes into the park and distributes the balloon to every child. When he's done, he goes to a bakery and comes out with a loaf of bread. Then he walks to the edge of a slum. And under a tree was a small baby girl, So he put that girl on his lap, must be his sister, took small bites and fed the young girl, and he smiled. So when I saw that, tears came down my eyes. So I went up to the boy, I took whatever local currency was left and tucked it into his hand, and I walked away. So then on the way to the airport, when we were reaching, I told the driver, listen, here's $100 tip for you, but you have to do what I want. Here's another $100 more. Be sure to buy balloons from this boy every time you see him. I'll be back. So that was the story of the balloon boy. And that's me receiving the book from the Italian ambassador, Excellency Lorenzo Galanti. That was 4 years ago. Now we talk about the subject of the human book. I have been approached by many people. They tell me, Sukan, please write the story of my life. You're going to have a bestseller. I say, okay, tell me your story. I listened to the story about 3-4 people, and I realized something very important. First, I told them, the story of your life is not over yet. There are many more seasons and episodes to come. When the time comes, we will talk about it. I will approach you. But yes, you said your book will be a bestseller. Let me tell you one thing. Every story I've heard is not a bestseller. It is the ultimate seller. Everybody's story is fascinating. We are all unique. No one in the universe is like us. So, if possible, someday, if you permit, I may have the honor to listen to the story of your life over a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, depending on the time. I will be honored. Because the human book is the ultimate, and we have to live our life to the highest potential, because we don't know who we are inspiring. We are here to create. We are here to do the creator's work and pass it on to the next generation. So that was the book section, and now kindly allow me to switch to bike mode. Bear with me, gentlemen. I have to change to my other phase. So that was sent by one of the readers recently who read the book and kept it in his private den. Okay, this is the current bike I use, a Benelli Keyway 200cc. I've been using it for a few years now, but it's time for a major upgrade. We have come from both bicycles to motorcycles because the engine was invented, but we have gone a step further. We are going to add electric motor, making it run through electric, which I don't find is a fascinating thing to do. Biking takes me to scenic destinations and discovering new cafes and food venues along the way. It helps me above all to do charity in remote locations. My motto is right to give. Give to right, right to give. And I have done a lot of charity on the bike still today. A very concerned friend asked me, Sukan, aren't you worried? It's not safe. What about the safety factor? So I said, dude, when I sit on a bike, my jewels are resting on top of an engine that is exploding thousands of times per minute. And in front of my jewels is a big tank of gasoline. Tell me what is more dangerous than this in life. So he said, yeah. I said, beyond that, I can just put a helmet, put a jacket, do what I can, you know. And he agreed. Okay, these are some of the places I've gone on my bike. See the seagulls migrating from Mongolia. And, discovering new khao niao som tam kayang food venues and sharing it with people. And this was July of last year, dog shelter. We managed to do charity, and they had so many repairs to be done, and by the grace of the heavens, everything went well. It's such a joy. This is what I get from riding. This is my happiness. When I go, I see a deed done, good done. This brings me joy. The purpose of biking is, for me, is to create joy for myself, endless joy. And a bike is a piece of art. For me, it's not only the riding. When it is parked in my home or at my cafe or anywhere, I look at the bike. When I see it, it brings me happiness. So I've been going on quite a number of rides, and now I am in search of a bigger bike. I went to look at the Harley. Well, it didn't meet my requirements. So I've been riding this, but my next step is to buy a Royal Enfield 650cc Super Meteor. This is just only a 200cc bike. I have taken a trip to Pattaya twice already, but it's an old lady now. We have to upgrade, and these are some of the places I went with my friend from Singapore. He rode all the way from Singapore to Thailand and to Laos. He stayed, and he all the way back, and I met him last year. His name is Mr. Angad, and we became good friends. I learned a lot from him. He taught me things like, you have to keep your body hydrated. Every hour of riding drains you of 500cc of water, which is true. I used to get cramps. I didn't understand why, till I found out, and now I keep myself hydrated. He taught me about counter steering, and we had a discussion on big bikes. I said, what is your take on big bikes? He said, Sukan, anybody can buy a big bike. Anybody can twist the throttle on a big bike. I ask you two things, or ask that person two things. Can you stop that bike when you have to? Can you turn that bike because it's heavy? If the answer to these two questions is no, you are not suited for a big bike. Yeah, you can't push the bike. If it falls, you can't turn, you don't know how, you cannot handle. Throttling is easy, but stopping is very important. I have moved, the first time I rode a bike was when my legs reached the feet, maybe 8 or 9 years old, small. My father trained me, Then I grew up, started enjoying the thrill, getting bikes, and I moved racing bikes, So it was fast and furious mode those days. But today I have moved from fast and furious to slow and curious. Fast is not my cup of tea anymore. I want to go mindfully. I want to feel the thrill of the bike. And one thing I make sure is I don't put any gadgets on my bike. No extra thing. I use GPS rarely when I have to. And that also I will stop the bike, take a break, look in my phone, put the data in my head, and that's it. So there's no gadgets or no gimmicks in the bikes. Because I want to be fully present when I race the rain, when it starts raining and I race the rain, go as fast as I can to get away from the cloud and don't get wet. And the most beautiful experience is called chasing the sunset. When you see the setting sun and you have an open road and you ride towards the sun, going till the sun sets, for me, that is truly amazing. And biking is a form of meditation, You have to be totally there. You have to be totally present or you will end up in the past. So when I ride a bike, now we talk about the roads in Thailand. The biggest danger of the roads in Thailand is the potholes, the objects that are lying that we don't see that can trip. So I use all my concentration. 70% is on scanning the road ahead and 30% is on the traffic. But I am fully mindful of the road and it gives me presence. I never ride when I am tired. And I want to go to places deep in the woods or anywhere where I can be in the embrace of Mother Nature. Because, in the forests you go sometimes, you won't find any Wi-Fi. But I promise you will find a better connection. You will be so released, and then when you ride your bike back, you reach home, it's like one of those Top Gun missions accomplished. My logic for riding on trips is, I do only day trips till now. I leave before the sun rises, and I ride back just as the sun is setting. I have made a couple of night trips just to check the bike status and what challenges one will face while riding at night. Because for me, I have a vision to start my own club, motorcycle club. I have tried to join a club, but I just couldn't. There are too many rules, too much ego, and someplace MC actually originally, and it does still, stands for men's club, not motorcycles club. So I want to create a space, a club, where everyone can ride. I have named my club Imagine Motorcycle Club. I have yet to design, to form, but I have a vision. But the two solid principles of my motorcycling club is it has to be within the framework of the law, no breaking the law in any way. And second thing is it has to be safe. Safety has to come above everything. And the purpose of this club is only one thing. We ride in the morning, we do charity first, and after lunch, then we party till night. We exchange information, we talk. The thing about bikers is we have respect. The first respect is to respect the other person's bikes. Never go and ask a biker, why did you buy this? Why didn't you buy that? That is like, deep down a biker will feel it. Everybody loves their baby, right? They know what they love. They are aspiring for more, but they know exactly what they want. So let me come to the main course now. Yeah, that's the engine, 650cc engine of the Royal Enfield Super Meteor that I am considering to purchase. Look at that. You know, if you put an electric motor in that, I wouldn't do any biking again. It's a piece of art, you know. It's a piece of art. You look at it, it brings you joy. Look at that. Isn't she beautiful? I just could, you know, I can look at bikes longer than I can look at a beautiful girl, you know. Because they always look the same every day, huh? and give you the thrill. Yeah? Okay, my search for this Royal Enfield bike took me to several Royal Enfield dealers, including the motor show, but I found out that most of them were interested only in one thing: business. Hey, buy it, give me your money, go. There was no passion. So I said, I'm not going to buy a bike from a place where the owner or the staff have no passion. Then I came to this place, Dom. Okay, Royal Enfield dealer, and now also Indian bikes dealer. DOM, Dom, I didn't know then, but I know now, is the name of the owner. His name is Dom Hetrakun. He's a celebrity actor, tall, handsome guy who has a passion for motorcycling. He's still acting, you know, full time, but he opened up this place because he loves it. So he took the acronym DOM and he called it Destination of Motorcycles. On one visit, I went and I said, Dom, do you service other bikes beside Royal Enfield? He said, yes, every type of bike, because this is the destination of motorcycles. So I sent my baby there for servicing to check, you know, how they do the job, it is good. And they did a good job. Now on the day I went to pick up my bike, I met Dom for the first time. I mean, off the screen. Then we had a conversation. This gentleman spent 20 precious minutes of his life walking me to the Royal Enfield, letting me sit on them, telling me which model I should take between the two, how this model came to be, what engineering went into it, how the new frame, you know, I was bubbling with joy. I said, wow, I found a guy who is passionate about bikes. And he said, you don't have to buy from me or buy at all, but if you buy this model that I tell you. So I was like, wow. Finally I met, then I said, Dom, Destination of Motorcycles, how did you think up of this acronym? He said, yeah, well, you know, I thought it up, it's a good. I said, yeah, then what about other acronyms? He said, my other half, she says that it could mean other things. And for her, she came up with the acronym called Delight of Motorcyclists, which is equally beautiful. So they have two versions of DOM there, Destination of Motorcycles and Delight of Motorcyclists. I enjoy riding alone, but at times I do ride as a group. Riding alone is like, you know, you're crooning a solo song, I did it my way. But when you ride with a group, it's different. It's like you're in an orchestra. Every bike is an instrument, and the sound that each bike makes is so unique. The Harleys have their own sound, the Enfields, the Ducatis, they all have their different sounds. When they start the engine together and they are in neutral gear, you might feel the sound to be a nuisance. But once they hit the road and they start riding, you can feel that symphony of the orchestra, because the road that they ride is the conductor. The road determines how fast they will ride, and according to the curves and bends, it comes different sounds. And I mean, for a biker, it's music. It's music to the ears. Now, coming back to delight of motorcyclists, which his other half said, I have asked myself, what is the delight of motorcyclists? Why do I like biking? Why does the dog stick its head out of the window and does so much joy, you know? It has always baffled me. So, what is the thrill of motorbiking? And whether consciously or subconsciously we realize it or not, the answer is blowing in the wind. So, how many roads must a rider ride before you call him a biker? How many trips must a biker make before he feels the thrill? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. And thank you so much. And one last bit. I have been asked often, what is my goal in writing? What are my goals, my objectives, my destination? I say, I have no goals. I have no destination. All I have is a purpose and a destiny to unfold. Thank you all for being part of me today. I will always remember you as you are, so kind, so gracious. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Are there any questions? Hang on, you're not going anywhere.
Okay. Extra time. Game goes into extra time.
Stephen King is my second favorite writer. You being, of course, number one.
Whatever, yeah.
Yes. And I'm wondering if you've read On Writing by Stephen King.
I read a few books of Stephen King, but not this one. Thank you. I read The Green Mile, a few, but not this one.
All right, it's rare that it's not a horror story at all. It's Stephen King talking about his writing and how he does it.
Wow.
And his point is simply to help you find new ways or new directions. I really suggest you read it.
What is the title once again?
On Writing.
On Writing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Are you okay with riding at night time without the windshield?
Riding at night?
Without the windshield, considering the bugs.
With the wind, I don't ride with windshield. Now, just before I come back to you, the Super Meteor has two models: the one with the windshield and the one without the windshield. Riding with the windshield will help you ride smoother, but I don't want that. I want to do push-ups with the wind. I love it. I like to feel the wind on my chest and push, creates drag. It gives me joy. Because if I ride, it is a personal opinion, of course. No, everybody has their own way. If I ride with a shield, I would feel like I was in the car. And for me, driving a car is like watching a movie. But when I ride a bike without a windshield, I am acting in the movie. I feel so. For me, windshield is a no-no, but yes, when the situation ever requires, I have an intended trip with my friend to Singapore when I get this bike. So I have requested my friend that I will make a trip with him to Singapore. Maybe then I will learn what is required. Thank you, sir.
Hello. Very interesting, because you brought happy memories back to me, talking about bikes. I've been riding motorbikes since I was 16.
Wow.
I'm now 84. I'm still
Are
riding
you
bikes.
84?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
looks so
getting
young.
old. I'm getting old.
No. Bikers never get old. Get bold.
But what you spoke about, the wind hitting you, it's you can't explain it unless you're a true motorcyclist. You know, it's a feeling of being free.
It's a massage that comes from any direction. It's the
That's
feeling
right.
the birds feel under their wing. You know, the Harley, the choppers, they're with the big handles, you know. I have never ridden that, but one day I simulated doing that thing. And I understood, oh my God, it's the wind hitting here.
That's right.
You know, that wind hitting here, I feel like a bird with a wing. That joy comes because from the big handles. So I find that it's a different.
Yeah, well, one of the first bikes I bought, believe it or not, when I was 16, 17, was a 1000 Vincent Shadow.
Wow.
Well, in those days, when I was that young, you could buy any size bike. The rules have changed now. And I really enjoyed that, the experience, the engine underneath. They do rattle a bit, but there again. But the one thing I had to sell is because every time I tried to put it on the stand, if the camber of the road was down, the bloody thing fell over, and because it was so heavy, and I was only 16 and not big now, it fell down, and people had to pick me up all the time. So it took a lot of shine out of that. So the next bike I bought was a 650 Road Rocket, BSA.
Yeah, just to add a little more, thank you for telling about the stand, because I forgot to mention that.
Well,
One of the reason I'm buying the Royal Enfield is because it has a double stand, not just a single like that. You can pull it up, you can service it, and it's safer. You put the thing on the side, you don't know what is the road condition,
If
you
it's
might
like
forget,
that,
is it fully out, and you risk, you know.
yeah, so I bought the 650, which wasn't so heavy.
Yeah.
And I had that for 11 years and sold it. And at the time I was in the Navy, so I didn't get many chance to ride a bike.
Yeah.
I was always abroad, except when I hired a bike. But I still wanted a motorbike. The first thing I did when I got back is bought another bike. I wanted that weekend experience of being free. Yeah. And unless you're a proper biker, you know exactly what you're saying about no screen. You've got to have the force of the hair in you. And thank you for all the memories you've just brought back to me.
Thank you, sir. And since he talked about bikes and big bikes, and just one thing to add, the Royal Enfield will be the second last bike of my life, not the last. It'll be the semi-finals. I will ride it for a good 10 years. Well, I'm still around. My final target will be Harley Davidson Fat Boy, the one Arnold was riding in Terminator. Not about Arnold riding. I love the bike. It appeals to me, the look, you know, the wide chest, the small hips, the waist, the proportion of the bike is beautiful. So let's see how we go one step at a time.
Thank you. Harleys are a lot of fun. I had a few.
Wow.
And thank you very much for your talk. Your bike is absolutely stunningly beautiful.
Thank you.
For me, the one that got away was a Triumph Bonneville 650 Silver Jubilee.
Wow, that is a classic.
And that was a long time ago, and it was an original.
Wow.
Anyway, so I really enjoyed that. I love the way you tied writing and your writing together with the way you framed that song. I thought that was really brilliant.
Thank you.
With regard to your club, is this going to be one that will welcome like new writers, will provide like practice instruction, helping people who want to start writing, motorcycle riding, but have, or just like, I'm just getting started? Because you talked about safety first.
Yeah. So initially my aim is for seasoned riders first. And those who are interested in riding should start as a pillion rider on the one and feel it. Then from there, if they want, we send them to the proper school for instruction and the bikes, and we work it on a safety level. This is open to all genders, legal age. Somebody is coming from Mars, alien, also you're welcome. If you want to ride a bike, come to my Imagine Club. But I want this to be a club where there are rules, but you won't feel there are rules. You will all contribute to the club. Everybody is unique, you know. Thank you.
Yeah, Howard, I have a question actually. Well, I
just have a glass of water. Just sorry, just I got some cramps.
Is that all you need?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm a Harley rider as well. South Africa and Namibia, I joined both chapters, and it's a family.
Yeah.
It's a family affair.
Yes.
Everybody looks after each other.
Right.
And one thing you mentioned about training, we were not allowed to ride in a pack with the other Harley riders unless we'd done a basic and advanced training course. And the other thing is you were talking about, we were all called hogs. Harley, we all belong to the Harley owners group.
Yeah, hogs, yeah.
And we call them chapters.
Yeah. Okay, first thing, you caught my attention when I was having breakfast. You walked by, I saw you, I said, this is a good biker. This is a biker, the way, I felt it. I told my friend, boy, they said that he's a biker. We looked at you and we admired you quite a bit. But thank you that you have verified my feeling that you are a biker and sharing with me. And of course, I would like to be your friend and seek your experience as I go along this journey. And thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for the sharing. Just two-part. I lived in Rapid City for 12 years. I'm not a biker, but most people know or don't know it's 10 miles from Sturgis, which is a small town, about 15,000. But during the first week of August, it swells to 300,000 riders of Harley Davidson.
Wow.
20 minutes from Mount Rushmore. So you may want to venture there one day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My question is, it sounds like you're a late bloomer in terms of writing. How old were you, and how many books have you already finished?
Okay, well, when I got permission from my mom in 2012, I gave birth to my first book, Wise Dad, Ignorant Dad, the next year. That was 2013. November 8, 2013 was... I've been written a few books, but then, life sometimes slaps you with so many calamities or whatever, so I had to throttle down, revise, but that thing was always going in the head. May I share with you 2 projects I have in my mind of 2 books that I want to work on. May I? The first one is called The Confession. This book is about, imagine on Cayman Islands, there's a church called St. Martin's Church, yeah? And the criminals on the international most wanted list go there every year for a confession. These criminals have to be customers of a certain bank. They are flown in, it's nothing. And what do they confess? Then, they make their donation in Bitcoin or whatever, but what each criminal confesses is a story of its own. I have done up to chapter 3, put it on. It's so intense. Sometimes you have to just move back and so on. And the other one is called the AI Oracle. We are in the world that's talking about AI. So, this book will tell you about the dangers of AI in a format and why AI can never compare to human beings. What is it that we have superiority over the AI? I will reveal in the book. So I seek all your blessings for me to get these 2 projects done. Thank you.
A final question. I know we had a couple of weeks ago, Short George here gave a talk about using your life to create stories, and the question came up about printing the book. Your books are printed in Thailand, are they?
My books are all printed in Thailand. My friend does it for me. And coming back to that, let me say, now that you asked, I didn't want to talk about it. I was on Amazon for a while. And I did some books on prayers, Sikhism prayers, which were doing well. And then a certain person sent me an email and said, can you do transliteration of these books? I want my child to do the prayers. So I did it, transliteration books. It was in Amazon for 5 years now. One fine day, 3 months after my mother's passing, they sent me an email, said that you have violated our terms and conditions. We are removing you, we are banning you for life. I said, what? I wrote an email, I said, listen, you can be kind and tell me or block, and please don't do this now. My mother just passed away. They said, no, we have our terms and conditions and this and that. I said, okay. They did not only they closed me and banned me, they didn't pay me the royalties they owed me. They sold more books that they had in stock till they made the money. How cruel is this? It's okay. I made a promise to myself that day that, well, of course, things can change in the future in a way, but my books will be available everywhere in the world except Amazon. And that is a challenge I took upon myself. I wrote Wise Dad, I got it printed, I'm doing marketing directly, I want to know the readers. Like I said, I have no destination, I have no goals. Let my destiny unfold, and I find more joy now to connect with the readers and all, and I don't have to be dependent on somebody to come and tell me what to do, what not to do. And I wrote them, listen dude, this book you say is on prayer. It's a good thing, it's about the Lord. I didn't write something like about new topic or something, but I respect you, and you got to respect my rights for that too. Thank you.
A round of applause for Sukan.
Bitcoins.
He has copies of Conversations with Dracula for sale here.
I have brought 8 copies of Conversation of Dracula if any of you would like to purchase. And 10% goes to charity. Every book, 10% goes to charity.
And how much are the books?
280 baht only.
Wow.
My thing about writing the books, they have to be entertaining. They have to be easy to read, the font, and they have to be affordable. And has to benefit somebody in charity. That's it.
So if anybody's interested in where he got some published, come and ask him afterwards, and I'm sure he'll share that with you. Because I remember John Foxy was interested in getting books published. Anyway, I just thought it was great to hear about people following their joy in life, right? It's like it came to a stage in his life, it's like, I need more joy in my life. Where is my joy going to come from? And books and bikes were the answer.
Follow your heart, like Steve Jobs said, follow. Your heart already knows what you want. Just listen to it.
All right, well, we have a small token of our appreciation for that talk.
Thank you, Doctor, and thank you, everybody. Every time I look at this, I remember all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukan.